Ancestors means a whole lot to all of us. When we talk about the ancestors, we talk about the ones whose shoulders we stand upon. All the way from Africa to here in High Point, North Carolina. Put your hands up together.
God, we thank you for this morning. We thank you, Lord, for this weather. We thank you for our gathering together here on this day, for the occasion for which we are here. We remember our ancestors, their blood, their sweat, their tears. We remember their laughter and their joy and their smiles. We remember their value and their integrity, their morals and their dignity. We remember. God, we are here on this morning. We are present. But we remember our past so that we can go forward. Oh God, our past helped to shape us. Our past helped to form us. And Lord, as we remember, help us to be transformed, to work together for peace. We remember the shalom of God, health and well-being for our community. We remember. And as we remember, God, we ask that you will build our hope for a better future for High Point, a better future for Guilford County, a better future for North Carolina, a better future for the United States, a better future for our world. We love you. and we love our ancestors. We appreciate you, and we appreciate our ancestors. We thank you for your presence, for all of those who have worked so diligently to find these historical persons and events and to honor and celebrate them. So we are here in happiness and joy as we remember and as we go forth in our future. Amen.
Amen.
Years before the Emancipation Proclamation of 1863 and long, long before integration. What we are commemorating is the colored section with the cemetery for the African American residents of High Point. Oakwood Cemetery is actually a cemetery within a cemetery. Oakwood Memorial Park Cemetery was developed in 1935 and was strictly a cemetery for white residents of High Point. In 1910, Green Hills Cemetery was developed, and very few African Americans were buried in the colored section of Oakwood Cemetery after 1910. The tombstones in this section of the cemetery read like a history of the African American community in High Point. This is the final resting place of Reverend Daniel Brooks, who fought in the Civil War and returned to High Point to found a prominent African American church. Willis Hinton, who overcame adversity to become a wealthy entrepreneur, is buried here. This is the final resting place of Peter Graves. Mr. Graves was a farmer and well-known hunting dog tamer. Annie Pitts, a former slave and longtime housekeeper for J. Elwood Cox, is also buried here. This is also the final resting place of Jess Edmondson, an African-American businessman, barber, and proprietor of an opera house for African-American citizens of High Point. There are also several unmarked graves in this section. These people may have been slaves. We will probably never know their names. However, they still deserve to be acknowledged and honored. They too were a part of the history of High Point. The colored section of Oakwood Cemetery is probably the best kept secret in High Point. Even people who have lived here their entire life are not aware of the colored section. There is so much history in this one section of the cemetery that needs to be shared. It doesn't matter if you are black or white. This is the history of High Point, and it needs to be shared. We need to acknowledge these people.
Today I will be reciting a poem written by myself titled, My Life Mattered. Born into a world that regarded me as property, your Constitution did not apply to me, yet I persevered. My life mattered. Your babies I nursed, while the babies born of my loins are neglected. Lord, I pray my babies know they're not rejected. Forbidden to read, although I did, despite the threats of harm. The words on the pages brought within my spirit a refreshing calm. Delicious were the meals that I prepared and served, yet I was sent on my way back to a shack to eat the scraps. To me they spewed. That's all you deserved. My man worked and toiled your stolen fields. Sun up to sun down, an old tattered straw hat his only shield. Hopelessness, shame, and resentment consumed his heart and mind. Deliverance, shall I ever find? Does my life matter? I pray to God each night and ask him to grant me understanding of my plight. My valley so deep, my pain so great, no hope or reason to carry on. Dear Lord, I am hated and despised. Why, Lord, why? Why did you create me for such a time as this? Sweetly and ever so softly, my Lord spoke, because you have purpose, my child. Remember the shameful, rugged cross that I bore for all? Despised and rejected? I did that for you too. Don't you know your life does matter? You see, my child, I am the only giver of life, and to you, life I gave. It was you that I chose to run this race. I knew your shoulders could bear the burdens because of the strength, honor, and dignity to you I gave. Many will come after you, he spoke to me. Of you they will learn of the anguish and pain. In their hearts, thanks and respect shall develop and remain. Those after you will also realize I chose you to allow those who hated you to come to the knowledge of the cancer that consumed their hearts. Although quite difficult, I finally understood. Truly, my life mattered. My life mattered. My life mattered. Thank you.
Our next speaker is Earl Imes, the curator of the North Carolina Museum of History.
From the North Carolina Museum of History, where our motto is history happens here. And indeed, history is happening here today in High Point, North Carolina, the highest elevation in Guilford County, named for that reason, where our formerly enslaved and free people of color, along with whites and Indians, helped to blaze a trail to this place and create this city and this civilization. And I am a witness to it. I'm a seventh generation Imes by name here in North Carolina, born and raised in Winston-Salem. And we have a little small place called Imes outside of North Carolina. And I grew up knowing about our ancestors and thinking that everyone had the benefit of knowing about their ancestors and visiting beautiful cemeteries and places like this resting place where our cemeteries, our ancestors were revered and honored by subsequent generations. And along that line, I would like to also welcome and thank the descendants of the people who are buried and entombed at this sacred place. And I say enslaved and free people of color. And as a historian, I would be remiss if I didn't give you a history lesson, but I'm not gonna give you a history lesson and be long like a preacher. So we can be like preachers sometimes. But in alluding to preacher and our history and our religion, I can allude to what my ancestors used to call our mores and folkways. And some of them may have dedicated a cemetery or gravesite to a young person at this site by exclaiming the words, "This is the day that the Lord has made, let us rejoice and be glad in it." Part of our history and culture, part of our mores and folkways is people who were formerly enslaved and free people of color, because many of us were not enslaved. Many of us, like Reverend Daniel Brooks, were free people of color who were fighting for his freedom before Abraham Lincoln and the Union decided to issue an Emancipation Proclamation and issue freedom for everyone. And I say everyone, not only our enslaved ancestors, but freedom from the scourge of slavery from upon our whole society. Freedom for all. He fought for that before there was an Emancipation Proclamation, and even after there was an Emancipation Proclamation. He served in the Confederate Pioneer Battalion from Cleveland County, North Carolina, all the way down to Fort Fisher, and back finally settling here in High Point, and he opened that church to help uplift our people, all people, from the curse and the scourge of slavery. And people like Will Hinton, who took that boon of freedom, took that opportunity to pull themselves up from the bootstrap, like Booker T. Washington said, and form businesses and employ people and get people vested in this American dream. So Martin Luther King once said that a day like this would come where sons of former slaveholders and sons of former enslaved people would come together and to honor. And this day is here today. Yes. And I would like to mark that day in history, and I'll wrap up my quick history lesson by just saying that what you are doing here in High Point and honoring these formerly enslaved people who, when they were entombed, many times were codified as 3/5 of a human being. And their increase were codified to be property. And yet we have reversed that curse today, and that increased, those descendants are here, again, with the sons of formerly slaveholders. And I'll say that because in our state, a misnomer across the South in our country pervades that all whites were slaveholders, and yet only 5% were. 5% in our state were slaveholders. So I can say that even those formerly enslaved holders and former white yeoman farmers who were not slaveholders and whose descendants are here today are embodying the words of Dr. Martin Luther King, coming together on a day that the Lord has made, that we have come to rejoice and be glad in it. So again, thank you for your kind attention. My name's Earl Imes, and I invite you to come and visit me at the North Carolina Museum of History, where we have many good exhibits and programs, among which, to give a shameless plug, you can come and see our Selma to Montgomery, a march for the right to vote, and hear one of Dr. King's most powerful speeches, and see the impact that he left not only here and across our country. So again, my name's Earl Imes. Thank you again, and come and see me at the Museum of History.
I'm Hank Presley, and I grew up in this area. I'm pretty much a lifetime resident of High Point. I lived briefly in New York and in Greensboro. But you know, having been educated here and having been an educator in this system here, I knew nothing about this area here until just a couple months ago, whenever Ms. Bridges invited me to participate in this. You know, Ms. Willard and Ms. Bridges are my dynamic duo. They are my historians par excellence. So, you know, I was actually born on a sharecropper's cotton farm in South Carolina. My parents were born on the same thing before myself. So we were born very much that close to slavery. So it's a bittersweet occasion for me to come here and be among these people who lie in rest right here, because I just found the grave of my grandfather, my paternal grandfather, a couple of months ago in South Carolina. So I was just wondering about all these people whose lives were punctuated with and by servitude. I thought of what would be an appropriate type song to sing. So I came up with this. If I can help somebody as I pass along, if I can cheer somebody with a word or a song, if I can show my brother where he's traveled wrong, then my living shall not be in vain. If I can do my duty as a Christian ought, if I can bring back beauty to a world that's flawed, if I can do God's beauty as He know I ought, then my living shall not be in vain. Then my living shall not be in vain. Then my living shall not be in vain. If I can do God's duty as I know I ought, then my living shall not be in vain. If I can help somebody as I live this life, if I can be a blessing in this world of strife, if I can hear God tell me, son, you've done well with your life, then my living shall not be in vain. Then my living shall not be in vain. Then my living shall not be in vain. If I can hear God tell me, son, you've done well with your life, then my living shall not be in vain. Thank you.